My husband had an emotional affair with his coworker, moved in with her, and now she's pregnant. He's broke, and worse, he's using our daughter to manipulate me. I'm a 38-year-old woman, married to him, 38M, since 2009, and we have a preteen daughter. The last 3 years have been an absolute nightmare for us. His terrible work conditions started taking a toll on his mental health. I saw the signs, burnout, depression, and I brought it up repeatedly. But did he listen? No. He brushed me off every time, refused to face reality, and wouldn't even consider therapy. He became distant, isolated himself, and clashed with our daughter constantly. Then, the bombshell, he told me he had met someone at work. He claimed it wasn't physical, as if that makes it better, but admitted he was in love with her. She was, according to him, his soulmate and best friend. I was shattered. While I was hanging by a thread, trying to hold our family together, he was debating which woman would make him happier. Can you believe that? He even had the audacity to say he needed space to clear his head, and that his coworker had kindly offered him a spare room. Of course, he took it. I asked for his help organizing the rest of our daughter's school year while I searched for a new apartment closer to my work. I wanted to give him space, fine, but I wasn't going to let our daughter and me live in limbo. I found a place quickly, and we moved. He visited once a month, bringing his chaos and suffocating our peace every single time. It felt like I couldn't breathe until he left again. After 6 months of this limbo, I couldn't take it anymore. Nothing had improved. I was still heartbroken, bitter, and confused, while he remained evasive about his intentions. So, I told him I wanted a divorce. That's when he completely lost it, screaming, storming off, and driving back to our old house in the middle of the night. A week later, he dropped another bombshell. His coworker was pregnant. And yet, somehow, I'm the bad guy for wanting out of this mess? Since then, he's only gotten nastier, angrier, and more hostile. It's like he's punishing me for his choices, and our daughter has become his weapon. How did we end up here? He's become increasingly accusatory in how he talks to me, blaming me for breaking up our marriage and abandoning him during his crisis. He claims he wasn't himself, has no idea why he did what he did, and insists I'm the one who left. He accuses me of being no help when he needed me most, and says I had mentally checked out of our relationship years ago. More than 3, according to him. He calls me cold, calculating, and not the person he thought I was. I'll admit, I've tried to be understanding. I know he's not well. He finally started therapy, and I've explained away much of his behavior as a result of his mental health struggles. But his claims that I took his daughter away and abandoned him are cruel and untrue. First, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. Your advice, tough love, and thoughtful insights meant a lot to me. You helped me see things from different perspectives, and for that, I'm deeply grateful. The divorce is officially underway. I haven't seen him in person for 4 months now. Most of the time, he keeps his distance, but when he does reach out, it's only to lash out or unload his pain onto me. I've kept our contact minimal, strictly about our daughter or necessary paperwork. Unfortunately, since I was the one with the steady job and double his income, I initially paid for most of his living expenses during our separation. Even now, I still cover his electricity bills, which he reimburses at the end of the month, though sometimes he needs a reminder. He seems to intentionally drag out the divorce process, making it as slow and frustrating as possible. Every so often, when we exchange messages, he slips and digs meant to provoke me. He accuses me of making him obsolete as a father and sarcastically suggests I get a new dad to help raise our daughter. His messages are full of venom, like, "It must be hard for you to send your daughter to someone you hate so much. You've clearly replaced me already, haven't you?" He pushes my buttons, trying to get a reaction. And if I lose my temper, even for a moment, he takes it as validation for his accusations. This process has been exhausting. I'm doing everything I can to protect my daughter and keep things civil for her sake, but his bitterness and manipulations make it so hard. I just want peace, for me and for her. If I so much as let one curse word slip, he immediately turns it around on me. Calm down, he says. Stop spitting acid. Maybe we should continue this conversation when you're not so wound up. The irony is infuriating. I've learned to disengage whenever these discussions start spiraling. I have all his outbursts documented in writing, just in case. From what I can gather, his coworker doesn't seem interested in pursuing a relationship with him anymore. And yes, for everyone wondering, the baby is his. He admitted it himself. What's even more baffling is that he still hasn't told our daughter about any of this. I've given him an ultimatum. Either he addresses it during our official meeting with the child welfare officer next month, as is the protocol where we live, or I'll tell her myself. Many of you have encouraged me to do this for her sake and our relationship, and I genuinely appreciate your shared experiences. They've been invaluable. To ensure my daughter has the support she needs, I've contacted her school therapist and the curator, informing them about her current struggles and what's likely to come. She's shy and doesn't always share everything with me, but I'm hoping they can offer her the help she might not ask for. She is, and always will be, the most important thing in my life. As heartbreaking as it is to see her endure this, I refuse to shoulder all the blame anymore. I'm finally shifting it where it belongs, on him. Personally, I'm in a much better place now. I feel bursts of pure joy and gratitude just watching my daughter eat dinner and tell me about her day at our peaceful, clean home. Even my houseplants are thriving. It's silly, but it makes me so happy. I've started opening up to friends and siblings about everything, and their support has been overwhelming. My siblings, while shocked, admitted they weren't entirely surprised this all unfolded the way it did. Apparently, they'd seen things more clearly from a distance, much like this community has. To everyone here, thank you, from the bottom of my heart. Your advice, encouragement, and tough love have been invaluable. I truly believe my daughter and I are going to be just fine in the end. I had already made up my mind. Sitting there, listening to his rant, I could feel it. There was so much more chaos ahead. And when he finally dropped the pregnancy bombshell, I almost laughed out loud. It was so absurd. It felt like the whole mess had turned into a farce. I thought to myself, no one would ever believe this if I told them the entire story. But here's the thing, my reaction told me something important. I wasn't heartbroken anymore. I was in a better mental place, with one foot out the door and no intention of ever stepping back into this circus. This wasn't my show to deal with anymore. You're absolutely right. I need to stop paying his electricity bill, stop being sympathetic or empathetic, and completely disengage. My friends have told me the same thing. Drop the contract and let him figure it out. Logically, I know it's as simple as one phone call for him to set up a new account, but he keeps feeding me excuses I know aren't true, and honestly, I struggle to take that step. I know how passive his mental health issues have made him, how even small things feel insurmountable to him. It's hard because I made a promise, and going back on my word feels wrong. There's also this nagging fear that cutting ties might worsen our already fragile relationship and, by extension, affect our daughter. But I can't wait for the day when all of this, the bills, the legalities, the lingering ties, is finally over. Hello again, Reddit. It's been months since my original post and the first update. I want to thank everyone for your advice, support, and even the criticism. It helped me immensely. I've made real progress for both myself and my daughter. That said, he's started seeing our daughter more regularly, and she actually visits him willingly now. Their relationship seems to be improving, which makes me genuinely happy. She's the most important person in my life, and I'll always prioritize her well-being. But as for me, his behavior toward me has only gotten worse. He's launched a passive-aggressive texting campaign, dripping with fake sweetness and over-the-top apologies. It's nauseating. I ignored it for as long as I could, but then he decided to confront me face-to-face when we were supposed to sign. When we met to finalize the agreements, he told me his therapist suggested he speak to me for closure. So he did. He went on, again, about how hard the last year has been for him, how I'm the one who destroyed the marriage, and how he'll never be ready to accept the divorce. He even complained that nothing in his current life is what he wanted or asked for, and unbelievably said he finds it insulting if I congratulate him on the baby. This was baffling, considering he had moved in with his affair partner. He initially tried to hide it, being evasive as usual, but our daughter discovered the truth during a visit and told me. Of course, it's pointless, but I couldn't hold back. I told him how he's completely disregarded my pain and all the mental work I've had to do to survive this mess. I explained that my love for him died in the process, and there was no reviving it. He retaliated by saying I didn't even try, and that even my parents were more supportive of him than I was. This hit a nerve. My parents had only exchanged superficial pleasantries with him during a brief meeting weeks ago. And yet he used this to twist the knife further. His claim that his coworkers were more supportive than I ever was felt like an insult designed to provoke me. I finally snapped and told him to look in the mirror. His passive-aggressive antics were as transparent as glass. My comment must have struck a chord because he stopped immediately. What really threw me off, though, was his bizarre fixation on my dating life. Through our daughter, he's been snooping and asking questions, which is inappropriate and intrusive. He even admitted to being jealous, which, of course, escalates into verbal aggression whenever the topic arises. Despite my life being significantly better in the past few months, me and my daughter are genuinely happy. I hit an unexpected emotional low today. He was supposed to have our daughter over for the weekend, but he canceled. The excuse he gave her was completely different from the one he gave me, which immediately raised red flags. Someone was being lied to. Then, last night, he blew up on me over text. It started as a discussion about visitation schedules but quickly spiraled into his greatest hits, accusing me of being petty over such a minor thing as his affair, which apparently wasn't even a real affair. And then, the kicker, he brought up my parents, parroting the line they used on me my whole life. "You're too sensitive." It was a gut punch. He knows how much that phrase has haunted me, and for years, he had supported me through my struggles with them, validating my feelings every step of the way. For him to weaponize that now was cruel beyond words. I told him how low that was, and how he has no right to quantify my pain. That's when he completely lost it. This morning, I reached a breaking point. I had to stop reading his messages because I was afraid I'd break down and cry, right there in the office. Later, my daughter came running to me, her face lit up with joy and tears streaming down her cheeks. She was practically jumping with excitement as she shared the news. Her father had sent her pictures of her newborn baby sister. I hugged her tightly, congratulating her on becoming an official big sister. We spent a moment gushing over the pictures together, her happiness so pure and untainted. But as the day went on, my mood plummeted. Family members began messaging me, asking how I was holding up, because, of course, my daughter had excitedly told everyone about her new sibling. That was okay, but the weight of it all started to crush me. I felt tired, irritated, and emotionally drained all day. And then it hit me. I have no one to truly talk to about this. No one who could listen without bias. No adult I could spill my heart to. These moments, the hardest ones, remind me of how much I've lost. When my marriage fell apart, I didn't just lose a husband, I lost my best friend. And every time I feel the need to open up, I'm reminded of how alone I am. Is it normal to feel this way? I've been so emotionally detached from him for so long. Yet somehow, the birth of this baby sent me into an unexpected nosedive. Today, at my lowest point in a long time, I felt like I had to let it out, so here I am. Thank you for reading. Hello, dear Redditors. Heartsuit, it's been a while since my last update, but since people still occasionally reach out, I thought I'd share where I am now. Honestly, the original title no longer fits. I've realized my mistakes in framing the situation, but I'll keep it for clarity. First of all, to everyone who offered advice, kind words, or even just a virtual hug, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have no idea how much your support has meant. Looking back at my last post, I remember the emotional setback I faced when my daughter's baby sister was born. Thankfully, my girl has been over the moon about her little sister and loves her dearly. I hope their bond stays strong, no matter what happens with their dad. My personal life is flourishing. I managed to save enough money to buy an apartment for me and my daughter, and we've been busy renovating it to make it our dream home. It's been a labor of love, and seeing her excitement over our new space has been deeply fulfilling. Work is another bright spot. I love my job and recently got a promotion. It came at the perfect time, giving me the financial boost I needed during the house hunt. And my siblings and friends? They've been my rocks, lifting me up and helping me maintain my mental health through this journey. I'm so grateful for their love and support. At this point, I feel content where I am. I have no pressing need or desire to find a new partner. Sometimes I wonder if I've become a little too jaded, but honestly, I'm okay with that for now. My focus is on building a beautiful life for my daughter and myself. Thank you for being part of my journey. Your support has meant the world, and I finally feel like I'm stepping into a new, brighter chapter. He told me he was done being polite, accusing me of using our daughter against him and twisting everything to make me look like the villain. His words were cruel and manipulative, but I refused to engage. I kept my responses short, focusing only on matters related to our daughter. The recent child support hearing revealed a lot about his situation. His new partner has him covering all household expenses while she pays her mortgage. He complained bitterly about his financial struggles, claiming he couldn't afford therapy and blaming me for his stress. He even suggested he couldn't have our daughter over as often because, in his words, she eats like a horse. I reminded him that she eats every day, not just on weekends. This summer, I agreed to waive child support for 1 month so she could spend a few weeks with him during his holiday. Even then, he seemed resentful. A few weeks ago, while she was staying with him, he picked a fight over a trivial matter. When I refused to engage, he gave me the silent treatment for 3 days, just like he used to during our marriage. Then, he flooded my phone with messages, accusing me of being terrible and twisting my words to provoke me. I told him plainly that I wouldn't argue with him anymore, and that he should find someone else to fight with. It's heartbreaking to see him struggle, but I've reached my limit. My focus remains on my daughter and the life we're building together. She's my top priority, and every decision I make is for her well-being. Thank you to everyone who has supported me through this. Your advice and kindness mean the world. We'll be okay, one day at a time. My ex-husband's behavior has reached a new low. Recently, he told me he had shown our daughter private messages between us to prove I'm not as kind as I seem. This enraged me, not because of what he implied about me, but because of the damage this behavior inflicts on her. I made it clear this was unacceptable, that it was selfish and harmful to her. I told him I was done and would only communicate about matters directly related to her well-being. He quickly shifted from accusatory to self-pitying, sending manipulative messages like, "Why are you being so mean to me?" and "I still love you." When I didn't respond, he claimed he hadn't actually shown her any messages, insisting my sanctity was intact. Feeling uneasy, I picked her up the next day. During the drive, she quietly asked, "Please don't take me away from Dad." My heart broke. I assured her that no matter what custody arrangement we have, she would still see her father. She mentioned she wanted him at her school graduation, and I encouraged her to invite him to all her events. I didn't tell her about the times he failed to show up. This is his chance to take responsibility directly. A few days later, she asked me why I'm so mean to Daddy. When I asked why she thought that, she admitted he had shown her some of my messages. His claim about not showing them was yet another lie. I now see this for what it is: parental alienation and emotional abuse. To protect her, I contacted CPS for advice on how to proceed. My focus remains on ensuring her emotional well-being while navigating this incredibly difficult co-parenting relationship. Despite everything, I'm proud of the life I'm building for her and me. We're in a better place emotionally, and I'm committed to shielding her from further harm while fostering her relationships where it's healthy to do so. You're in an incredibly difficult and complex situation, and I truly admire your dedication to protecting your daughter and trying to make the best decision for her well-being. Filing a complaint with CPS is a serious step, but it sounds like the guidance you've received is to gather more evidence and carefully weigh the consequences of each option. Given the context, here's a breakdown of your potential course of action. Filing a complaint. You've been advised that CPS would take the matter seriously if you decide to file a complaint, but it will be crucial to consider how it might affect your already fragile co-parenting relationship. It's understandable to feel torn about the potential consequences for your daughter, especially considering her bond with her father and the new baby. However, the emotional manipulation and parental alienation are undeniably harmful to her mental and emotional health, and it's crucial to address that. What happens if you file? CPS will schedule individual sessions for both you and your ex to discuss the situation and evaluate its severity. Your ex might react defensively, as you've mentioned, which could worsen communication, but it also might give him the opportunity to reflect on his behavior. If he retaliates, this could lead to more conflict and potentially more manipulation of your daughter. The CPS worker suggested that if you gather more evidence of this manipulation, you should file the complaint regardless. One silver lining in all of this is that you're already seeking professional support for your daughter through school counseling. The added support, and possibly formal therapy, could help her navigate the emotional challenges she's facing. Weighing the trauma. The two main concerns here are the trauma from being distanced from her father and little sister, versus the damage caused by emotional manipulation. It sounds like you are already doing your best to navigate the delicate balance of these two outcomes, ensuring your daughter knows she's not being kept away from her dad out of spite, but to protect her from harmful behaviors. Your daughter is being told conflicting narratives, and that's incredibly difficult for her to process. But as you wisely noted, your responsibility is to protect her from being used as ammunition in a war that she did not start. Ensuring she has a healthy relationship with both parents, where it's safe to do so, is crucial. The hard truth: it's hard to protect your daughter from the reality of the situation, but your long-term goals should be her mental health and stability. If that means addressing the manipulation and seeking professional help for her, you'll be doing the right thing for her future. As you mentioned, if she comes to you later asking about the decisions you made, you'll be able to explain the truth in a way that she can understand and appreciate. You are not failing your daughter. On the contrary, you are making the difficult but necessary decisions to give her the best chance of growing into a happy and healthy adult. While the pain and difficulty of navigating this situation are immense, it seems like you're moving in the right direction for her well-being. If you need further advice or emotional support, feel free to reach out. You're doing an incredible job, and your daughter is lucky to have you.